In my last video, we went over some of the best possible proof that we have of ghosts. Part 1 included some of the best ghost pictures, as well as multiple footage of security guards that seemed to be talking to ghosts, as the footage showed them talking to someone, but there was nobody there. And in that video, I got a lot of comments about this picture. Some said that this photo was taken at the exact time someone fell through the roof, which now makes this photo extremely hilarious. I hope if true whoever this was okay. But then others said that one of the kids many years later was asked about this photo, and he stated that he couldn't remember anything about it. You would think that if someone fell through the roof, he would have remembered that, or at least his family would have talked about it often. Because if true, what an amazing photo, catching what was probably their dad falling from the roof. So I'm curious if any of my viewers knows about this photo, please let me know in the comments, and we'll see if we can take this one off our list. Today I'm going to go over some more monster sightings in the great state of Texas. This will be part 3 in the series. People in Sabine County for years have reported seeing a large, 7-foot plus bipedal hairy monster very similar to that of Bigfoot. And it seems that whatever this is likes to spend a lot of its time close to the Sabine River. One story from the TV show Monsters and Mysteries in America tells a story from an eyewitness, Jeff, who was camping with his friends at the Sabine River in 1986. On one of these days, Jeff and his friends went out fishing, and to their surprise, they got really lucky. They caught a lot of fish. And when they were done fishing, they decided to cook the fish for dinner. And after they gutted and prepped the fish, they left all the fish guts and entrails on the floor for the other animals in the area. Jeff was hoping that maybe all these fish guts would attract a hog, and if so, he was going to shoot it. Jeff was an experienced hunter and familiar with this area, so later that night he grabbed his rifle and went back to where he and his friends placed all the fish guts. And as he was getting closer, he saw that there was something eating the fish guts, so he raised his rifle and moved in for the kill. But then whatever this was stood up like a human, turned around, and looked at Jeff. Jeff was scared to death. He had been hunting these woods his whole life. He had never seen anything like this before. This thing was just massive. And when it looked at Jeff, Jeff noticed that its eyes were very similar to that of a human, but this was no human. Then it growled at Jeff, and Jeff turned around and got the heck out of there as fast as he could. And he ran and went to go warn his friends. But his friends just didn't believe him. And that night, Jeff didn't get any sleep. He just laid down in his tent with his rifle in hand. Then the next morning, Jeff went back to this area with his friends, and they did find some large tracks, but his friends still didn't believe him. Now Jeff later stated that although it was dark, and this encounter only lasted a few seconds, it still changed his life forever. He never believed in Bigfoot or the Sabine Monster before, but now he believes without a shadow of a doubt that there is a large animal out there roaming these woods that is yet to be discovered. Another sighting of the Sabine Monster happened to a hunter while he was in his tree stand. One early morning back in the early 2000s, a hog hunter put out sliced apples in hopes it would attract some hogs. And while he was waiting in his tree stand, not too long after putting out his bait, he heard and saw some hogs walking close by the river. But at this time he had no clear shot, so he was waiting and hoping that these hogs would be attracted to his bait. But then the hunter heard something to his right, so he looked up with a scope, and he could see the side of something's face. Whatever this was hairy like an animal, but he had no idea what this was. But it seemed that it was also very interested in these hogs. Then he saw this creature move to another tree, and he couldn't believe it. This thing was massive. While he was trying to get a better look, he saw that it could move really fast. It was also jumping really high. It kept disappearing and reappearing behind the trees, getting closer and closer to the hogs. Then this hunter noticed that it seemed to get down on all fours, and when the hogs got within range, it jumped towards them. Then on the second leap, it let out a terrifying scream, scaring the hogs away. But then the hunter saw that it caught one of them, or rather it hit one of them on its side, and it hit it with such force that the boar threw through the air, hitting a tree. Then this creature jumped on it, hitting the hog with its fist, but not like how a human would, more like how an ape would, like say how we would pound on a desk. And after a couple very powerful blows, the hog died. Now the hunter said that this attack happened so fast that it just terrified him. he estimated that it only lasted about 4 seconds. This creature was just so fast and powerful. Then it picked up the dead hog and made a very odd whooping noise, reminding the hunter of how our ancestors would probably cheer after a successful hunt. But what really sent chills down his spine is that after this Bigfoot, or whatever it was, made that whooping noise, there were multiple responses coming from the depths of the forest. This animal, this beast, was not alone. Then it turned around and looked at the tree that the hunter was in. Then it looked up and made eye contact with the hunter. And the hunter at this time was looking through his rifle's scope. And the dot on the scope was aimed right at this animal's head. Now, although the hunter was scared to death, he was ready to shoot if it came after him. But it didn't. It just looked at him with its human-like eyes. Then it opened its mouth and showed the hunter its teeth and made a grunting noise. Then it turned around and walked away. Now I wonder, did this creature know if the hunter was in that tree the whole time? Maybe he felt that this hunter was no threat to him. Now the hunter just sat in his tree stand, scared and confused. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. He knew that if this thing wanted to get him, it could. Then about 30 minutes later, he finally worked up the courage to get down and join back up with his friend who was hunting somewhere else. And his friend did say that he could hear the attack as well as these whooping sounds, but he wasn't close enough to see the creature. Now later the hunter stated that this animal was about 7 to 8 feet tall, it was covered in reddish brown hair, and that it was a female. He could see that this animal had breasts, just like the Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin footage. Now because of all the sightings of the Sabine monster over the years, researchers went deep into this forested area and recorded some audio in hopes of catching some of these whooping noises that Bigfoots are known to make. And after playing back the audio, this research team didn't think they caught anything. But they did. They sent these recordings to experts to analyze, and after closely listening they heard something that was very strange. These experts stated that this sound was coming from an unknown animal, and it does sound like what we believe a Bigfoot call to be. Another famous cryptid, known as the Hog Monster, that many people claim to encounter in the 1970s, and still to this day, happened very close to where eyewitnesses claimed to have seen the Sabine monster, and I will cover the Hog Monster in a future video. But cryptozoologists believe that the Sabine monster, the cattle critter, and the Hog Monster are the exact same animal, and I would have to agree, as all these sightings did happen in the same forested region. And in this forest there are places that are extremely thick, so just maybe an animal as big as Bigfoot could actually hide from us here. One cryptozoologist and founder of a Bigfoot organization, Bobby Hamilton, has been researching sightings in this region for many years, and he stated that he knows that it sounds crazy to most Americans, but Bigfoot does exist, and they live right here in Texas. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.